Welcome, everyone. I hope this Zoom meeting finds everyone well, despite the weather today, but hopefully we'll have a nice weekend. Welcome to the Winston-Salem Transit Authority Board of Directors meeting for September 25th. And please allow me to recite a statement in regards to our meeting today. Due to the Safer at Home order issued by Governor Roy Cooper, members of the Winston-Salem Transit Authority Board of Directors are participating virtually today. All members will vote by roll call. A member will be recognized, at which time the member will state his or her vote. And also, too, at the beginning here, shortly right after this, we will have a roll call to make it official. I believe Tika is doing the roll call today.
Yes, Tika Holloway is our board secretary.
Okay.
Ready for me?
Yes.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. I will call out the roll, and if you would just answer with present or here, I'd appreciate it. Chairman Robert Garcia.
Here.
Vice Chairman Keith King.
Present.
Chair Member Lynette Lawson Jackson.
Here.
Chair Member Willie Clark Jr.
Here.
Chair Member Jack Lear.
Here.
Chair Member Latanya Wright.
Here.
Chair Member Lynette Allendorf.
Here.
And Chair Member Philip Osborne.
Report.
Okay, roll has been called for the board members. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you. Well, as always, everyone, we always have a safety message to start off. And Ms. Woodson, I noticed there was one written in the packet that you sent us.
Yes, sir. Actually, what I did this time, and hopefully, are you able to see my screen at this time?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, sir. We have our weekly staff meetings, and our safety supervisor, Tangela Turner, had a really cute safety message I thought would be appropriate for our meeting today. So I thought I would give you a break and from having to memorize or remember a safety message for us today. And I just provided this one for you, compliments of Tangela Turner. And basically it just says what it says. I can, you can, we can be safe, because we all can be safe.
That's so true in so many different aspects of our life. Very good. Well, thank you for that. As always, everyone, we set aside time at this moment for public comment. I do not recall seeing anyone sign on from the public, but let me give it just 1 second. At this time, there is no public comment. We will move on. All right, we have 3 action items. First, and hopefully everybody did receive the package as we do before every meeting, and you were able to review the minutes from the August 27th board meeting. At this time, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes, allow the board, if they'd like to maybe review some of the notes that they made or any discrepancies or changes that they see in the minutes before we vote for an approval.
Mr. Garcia, if I may make a statement
Yes.
in regards to the meetings from our August the 27th board meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
During that meeting, our Zoom meetings are recorded. However, we had some technical difficulties and we were not able to obtain the audio for our meeting that day. We got about 2 seconds. So the minutes that you have before you, as you read in the packet, were just a recollection of our memory of what was stated. So you may not see everything that was discussed in our previous meeting. If you do realize that there's something missing that you feel is very pertinent and would like to have added to the meeting minutes, if you would email myself at dwoodson at wstransit.com or Tika Holloway at tholloway at wstransit.com. We will make sure that those minutes are adjusted and amended, and we include that information so that when you get the final board packet, it will include any information that you see forthcoming.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Woodson.
And we apologize for that. We have taken other measures to make sure, of course, this meeting is being live streamed, so we have that information as well. And we've taken another precaution just in case to make sure we have the meetings recorded today.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we're not the only group out there that are doing Zoom these days and don't have from time to time an audio or a video issue. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Fellow board members, any notations in regards to the minutes from August 27th?
May I make one small change?
Yes, of course.
My name in the new WSTA Board of Directors members has been spelled with a capital T, and I'd like to know if that can be a lowercase t.
Yes, we will take care of that.
It's very minor, but I do like seeing it spelled with my way I usually do.
We want to make sure we get that right, and we will take care of that. I'll let Ms. Carson Wilkins know that, and she's on vacation today, but I'll make sure that gets taken care of as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Any other changes or questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 27th WSTA Board of Directors meeting?
Yes, I move that we accept the last month's board meeting minutes. Keith King.
Thank you, Mr. King. Do we have a second?
Second, Lynette Allendorf.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and with your name. Robert Garcia, aye.
Keith King, aye.
Jack Flair, aye.
Willie Clark, aye.
Annette Lawson Jackson, aye.
Lynette Allendorf, aye.
Natalia Wright, aye.
Okay. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you very much, fellow board members. We have approval of the August 27th meeting. Moving now to our next action item, something that we do from time to time, and it's always good nowadays. It's good to do this because this is saying that we've got our new fleet of energy efficient vehicles, and this is a resolution authorizing the general manager to remove vehicles from the active fleet. You will notice on here, Ms. Woodson will discuss, these are the vehicles that will be removed and sent to the city, and they do the auctioning of these items. Ms. Woodson?
Thank you, Chairman Garcia. That is correct. This is a request from staff that we enter these vehicles, which are Trans-Aid vehicles, into the surplus fleet for the city to auction off, as they do any city vehicles that meet their useful life or are retired for other purposes. But these specific vehicles have met their useful life, and we are asking the board to approve them to go into the surplus fleet. And we are replacing these vehicles as well with new Trans-Aid vehicles.
I move their approval.
Okay. We have a motion by Dr. Flair for approval of the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second, Jeanette Lawson.
Okay, second by Ms. Lawson. In favor of the resolution authorizing the general manager to remove said vehicles from the active fleet, signify by saying aye. Robert Garcia, aye.
Keith King, aye.
Jack Flair, aye.
Willie Clark, aye.
Annette Lawson Jackson, aye.
Lynette Allendorf, aye.
Natalia Wright, aye.
Thank you very much. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you, everyone. We have approval of the resolution authorizing the general manager to remove the said vehicle from the active fleet. Thank you very much. And just to let you know that everybody always asks, what do you do with all these vehicles? You'll notice those miles, and I think John's with us. He's probably had a hand in every one of those vehicles and all those miles. So John, thank you for making them last so long. Third one, resolution approving the Winston-Salem Transit Authority's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan.
Before I
It is
speak on,
abbreviated PTASP. Ms. Woodson.
yes, sir. I apologize for that. Before I speak on that, per city policy, if we would, for the vote, if we could have a roll call for the record, and because of the live streaming and the policy per the city, if the secretary or yourself, Mr. Garcia, could call the roll by name, and then the member could vote at that time, and that is the format that they're asking us to follow.
Will do.
Thank you, sir. So yes, sir, this is the resolution that we have bringing to you this afternoon, which is the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. This is a plan that staff from the safety safety manager, the safety supervisor, all of the managers here at WSTA got together, and we worked off of a template that was actually created by the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, DOT. All agencies are required to have a public transit safety plan for their agency in place, and it has to be approved by the governing body and into full administration by December of 2020. The initial date was July 20th, 2020, but due to COVID, the FTA extended that deadline. So we did not want to continue to wait. So we've been working on this ever since early March, April, and we just finalized that. And just to give you a brief summary of it, as it has been given to you to review, once we got together as a staff and we amended the template and made it unique to WSTA and the city of Winston-Salem, we got together, we sent this to the representative that was assigned to us at the DOT office and the FTA. So they've already looked at our plan. We've had a follow-up virtual meeting to go over different issues of concerns and modifications prior to board approval. So this has been approved by the FTA and NCDOT. So we bringing it to you. And basically this plan is just guidelines to give us targets to work towards. The FTA wants to make sure it has mandated that each agency have a plan that identifies targets as it relates to fatalities, incidents, just overall major mechanical failures and those things of that such. And then to have a plan in place for major catastrophes, and you'll see that, or you've seen at the back of the plan itself, just to address how we would have procedures and how we would implement this and different things on at our properties through a message safety management system. So if you all see for, if you all approve this plan, this will be sent up to the city council as well, public committee. And then once that happens, we'll adopt the plan and then we'll disseminate it throughout our employees for implementation in December of 2020. Are there any questions?
I believe there was was it not attached on what you sent to all the board members?
Yes, this is it here. And I mean,
Yes.
It's a large document. We can just scan through it. I'll scan through it on mine. But if there's a specific question or area of concern, I can definitely go through that. But this is just the plan itself.
Okay.
And our modes of transit, of course, we have the mixed route motor bus and the demand response, which is our TransAid.
Okay. I did scan through it, and there's a couple of a few pages that seemed, and maybe it's just coming off on when you send it, but it was all the wording was put together. It almost looked like a word jumbo.
Do you know?
Just to let you know, I don't know if the other board members noticed that. I can't remember how far down the pages it went.
Do these are some of the hazards and then the assessments that we would perform with our safety and maintenance and operations staff. The plan, it also includes everything as far as daily inspections, the inspections that maintenance would provide, the operations, hazard reporting. We have forms, that's documentations in the back that will be utilized to report such events. It gives us an overview of our accident review process, where if an operator or an employee has an accident and is deemed, as you can see from our reports monthly, how we have chargeable, preventable or non-preventable accidents, they have the opportunity to have an accident review that consists of police officers, retired police officers, to look over the accident to determine whether or not we judged or called that incorrectly. So they have an opportunity to overturn a decision that's made by our safety department as it relates to the preventability. And just some different measures that we would look at, promotions, and these are all, some of these are things that we're already doing currently, but there are some additional tasks and things that we're not monitoring or doing performance, key performance indicators on, that we will once this plan is adopted officially. And it gives an overview of our bus operator training. Most of these we're already doing now. We actually added some for the FTA that they were going to initiate at other agencies. This is talking about our drug and alcohol program and our emergency procedures, our injury and illness prevention training.
This is Jack Fleer. I have several suggestions for changes, but they're all sort of mechanical changes. Like, for example, on the table of contents, if you look at the very end of it where you list the appendix, on my copy, Appendix 1 is listed as an error. I think it's probably supposed to be a page number.
It is.
And the bookmark not defined is then page 39. So I'm assuming that's supposed to be page 39. But I was thinking if it would be possible and maybe more desirable to approve it with the possibility of some editing.
I believe that would be appropriate. I believe we could do that with the editing, and definitely those errors would need to be addressed.
I have not been able to read through the entire document. It's a very impressive document. But I think what I would, if it's acceptable, I would like to send whoever the appropriate person is an email indicating some technical and mechanical changes.
Okay.
No substantive changes.
Okay, well, if there's no substance, that's fine, because what I wanted to suggest, if you feel it's applicable, Mr. Garcia, if there's several changes or recommendations, or if you all need more time to review the document, we can actually do that. And I think that it'll be appropriate if we could make the changes and then send it out to everyone. But if you want to approve it based on the recommended changes, I think that we're able to do that.
I think
as long as it's not substance changes, it's just grammatical and things of that nature.
And thank you, Dr. Flair. I would agree with you there. Probably what I'd mentioned earlier, I might have been opening the pages too quick, and sometimes when you do that on attachments, it doesn't allow for the page to completely open. Now that I think about that, when I was going through the entire package, this has got to have a direct effect on. Is this something that gets turned in and has a direct effect, like on our insurance?
It doesn't have an effect on the insurance. No, sir, it does not. It just, it has been sent to the city officials as well and they've made some recommendations, and we made those changes as well, because of course it needs to be approved and governed by the governing body as well as the city of Winston-Salem. So, but it doesn't have a direct reflect on the insurance. But of course, if we don't adhere to it and we have accidents and incidents that have injury, then that of course does have a reflection on our insurance.
Okay. Fellow board members, any further questions or comments?
I would move its approval, as I indicated previously, subject to being any board member or any staff member who might read through it. It's a very impressive and substantial document. So I would suggest that we approve it subject to those kinds of changes that might occur.
Okay. We have a motion.
And I'm Jack Fleer.
We have a motion by Dr. Fleer to pass a resolution for the WSTA Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan with set grammatical changes, but not content changes. Do we have a second?
Second, Keith King.
Mr. King, thank you very much. Now that we have a motion to approve in a second, we'll go through the roll call. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Lawson Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Wright?
Aye.
And Ms. Allendorf?
Aye.
And Robert Garcia, aye. Those opposed, same sign. The resolution to pass WSTA's Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan with set grammatical changes and not content changes has been approved. Thank you again, Dr. Fleer, for noticing that. And thank you for volunteering to take a look at that and get it sent back to Ms. Woodson or the person responsible for doing that. Ms. Woodson, thank you. All right, and that concludes our action items, and we'll get back to the.
You need me to pull the agenda back up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so now old business, Ms. Woodson.
Yes, sir. So for old business, I just wanted to give a brief update on the COVID-19 because that'll be some data that will be provided in the Carol's presentation. But I wanted to make sure the board was aware that on Sunday, September the 20th, WSTA went back to its regular service schedule. So we went back to full service, full schedule service as it relates to Sunday service on Sunday, Monday through Saturday service. So we are now operating our weekday service. And as you'll see with the data, our ridership has been increasing consistently on fixed route as well as TransAid. And Carol give more information on that when she gives her report. But I just want to make sure that you all know that we did go back to regular service and everything has been really successful with that transition during the COVID. I did have another quick side note that on old business. Just to, and I'll have to reiterate this with the absent board member as well, just wanted to thank everyone that did adhere to the requirement for the city as far as the harassment and diversity training. We did receive all of the board members that we needed to. We received that training certificate except for one, and we'll continue to get that done, but we'll be completely in compliance with that city policy.
Okay.
Also, just a quick reminder that to the board members, all of our buildings, the WSTA buildings, the transportation center, as well as our admin facility is card access. And as you recall in a previous meeting, we asked if you would send a picture, if it's just a headshot, to myself or Tika Holloway so that we can, Mr. Ashford can go ahead and prepare your board member card access so that you won't have to worry about getting into other one of the facilities or accessing the elevator at the transportation center. So if you can do that, we would greatly appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Ms. Woodson. I think I missed that, and I didn't quite understand. You're asking for a photo to be sent to you?
Yes, sir. If you could send like a headshot for your ID badge, because we're card access now, John will make you a card so that when we do resume to in-person meetings, or if you have a need to come into the facility, you can get in and out with your badge.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fleer.
And I might remind everybody, it also allows you to ride on the bus.
Yes.
And they look very nice too. I don't know if you can see me holding mine up, and it was very quick and easy to do.
Cool. Cool. And I might add that in regard to the COVID, I noticed when I was at the transportation center, a good number of people, I would say a very high percentage of people following the mask rules, the ridership, and of course all the staff and the staff cleaning up. So I applaud. I couldn't help but notice those things, and that was the first thing. So job well done there, and got to thank all of our ridership, because for the most part, I'd say probably when I was there, and I was there most of the day the other day, probably about 80% were following the mask rule, or mask rule, I should say, which is a good thing. Okay. So now,
Amen.
yeah. So now we go to the information items, and the staff reports.
Okay. Before we go to the staff reports, I know that on the agenda we don't have new business, but I wanted to actually make the board aware of a recent, on Wednesday of this week, Tina Carson Wilkins and myself met with Joshua Swift at the Forsyth Health Department, Health Department, and Denise Price. And they paid a visit to the transportation center, and that was in reference to the COVID-19 testing that will take place at the transportation center. So the health department has been traveling to different locations in Forsyth County and Winston-Salem, providing COVID tests for any individual employee or just a resident or citizen. And they are going to be doing that at the transportation center, and we're excited about that. So that is going to take place on October the 13th, which is a Tuesday, from 4 to probably 6:30, as well as on October the 27th is also a Tuesday, the same time frame, about 4 to 6:30. They will be set up by the flagpole, and they will have the table set up, and we'll honor all of the the 6 feet separation, everything, but any and everyone is welcome to come by and receive a COVID-19 test on those 2 dates. And once those dates have passed, we will be meeting again with flu season, and they are offering to offer flu vaccines as well at the transportation center. So I wanted to make sure that our Worcester board was made aware of our plans, and that just took place this week. So that's why you don't see it on the agenda, but I wanted to verbalize that this evening, and I'll give you more information. It will be heavily advertised starting next week. When Ms. Carson returns, she'll have it on the radio, the news, the website, and every format that we can get it out there, get the word out.
Well, that's great news right there.
That's a tremendous service.
And I saw the other day where we also had someone out there registering people to vote too. So
yes,
certainly WSTA is doing their part here in the community. Thank y'all.
Yes, and we appreciate that. And on that note, we did have them at the transportation center doing the voter registration. We also are trying to make sure that everybody gets signed, takes the 2020 census. So if we could make sure that if we have not, I think we have about 5 or 6 days left to take the 2020 census, and we're trying to get the communication out there to all individuals, all citizens of Forsyth, as well as Guilford and everyone in North Carolina. That makes a difference. So we want that to be noticed as well.
Yes, I think we have 4 days left.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 4 or 5 days left.
Very important. People just don't realize just how important that census is sometimes, but it can mean the difference in a lot of funding for different areas. So thank you.
Right. Okay, well, I'm going to stop sharing and allow Carol to share her screen so that she can go through her monthly report.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. It's not allowing me. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get started. As Donna was talking about earlier, last month we definitely saw an increase in fixed route ridership. I think with school start, even though, people aren't driving to school, we're still seeing an increase of ridership that week that it started. So particularly on fixed route, not so much on Transaid, but on fixed route, we definitely saw a bump up. And next month, we'll see the impact from going back to full service since that just started this week. But Transaid was down last month, and I think that's just more susceptible to things coming up with COVID. If I remember correctly, we had an issue come up with one of our centers having a COVID outbreak. And so, they stop riding when that happens. So that is probably that ridership is more vulnerable to COVID outbreaks happening. But, good news that fixed route is up almost 7%. So that is a good trend to see. Now looking
on the Transaid, do you think that's because of more virtual doctor visits?
Well, actually, last month it was because of an outbreak at one of the facilities, and we saw that the ridership for that facility go down significantly for about 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
So it was a very heavily used facility.
Excuse me. Okay.
But the virtual could play a part in it too.
And the reason I ask that because maybe we might see that moving forward, that people are discovering the virtual, and we'll see.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the regional comparison that I get from PART each month. You can see we are still, well, now I guess we're in second. High Points data is now in there, and they are claiming they're above where they were before. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but they're saying that they're almost 4% above where they were in January. So I hope that's true for them. But amongst the rest of us, we are still leading the charge at about 24% down from where we were last year. And this is just fixed route data. It doesn't take into account Transaid data. And, this is us right here. Let me see. Yeah, this is us right here. And then let's see. That's the combination of all. That's GTA and Link, which is Burlington, PART, and then carrying the bottom is Davidson County, which I think I'm not even sure if they're running again yet. Moving on to looking at just our fixed route ridership. As you can see, we are definitely on an upward trend with ridership. We cracked the 150,000 mark last month. So we're inching closer to where we used to be, down significantly still from a year ago, but we're getting closer, and that's good to see. And our passenger per revenue mile was almost near 15 last month, and I think that probably played into the decision to go to full service because we only had a capacity of 15 passengers per bus, and when about half your buses are capacity, we were doing a lot of plugger buses out there helping out. So when we started full service, that and also expanded to allowing 25 passengers on a bus, that helped significantly. Wheelchair passengers ridership is not, gaining a lot of steam yet. We're still down a lot from where we were a year ago, at about 730 for last month. Bicycle riders, though, are back up there. We had peaked at about 1,200 back in June, but we're still pretty close to where we were a year ago, which is good to see. On-time performance for fixed route last month was up to almost 88%, which is great. Hopefully we can see that continue to rise. And moving over to Transaid data, the trips the past year, you can see, we had a little downward trend last month, but of course it's not coming back as quickly as fixed route, which we would expect. but we're about halfway there. TransAid passengers per hour, we're at about, a little bit under 2.5, which is actually very healthy. Anything above 2 is really a good mark in TransAid transportation. Wheelchair passengers. In the past year, clearly we're not seeing as many wheelchair passengers in TransAid, and this is to be expected. Only at about 1,600 last month. Nowhere near the almost 3,000 we were at a year ago. Now this is a nice slide. This is TransAid on-time performance, and you can see the last 5 months we're doing really well. We were at 93% last month, and that is continuing to go up, which is awesome. Even though ridership's going up, the on-time performance is going up, and kudos to that department for working hard on identifying the issues that are causing the problems and adapting to the issues there. Moving over to looking at accidents in the last year. Last month we had 1 accident, and it was a non-preventable accident. So we are on a really good trend here recently. And that 1 accident was in fixed route. 1 non-preventable accident. TransAid looked great, no accidents, and no accidents for maintenance. Moving over to maintenance road calls, we had about 45 total road calls last month, and the majority of them being fixed route, 40, and only 5 being TransAid. And for fixed route, you can see that we had the majority of our major mechanical failures, 28, and only about 12 other mechanical failures, which just to recall from last month, that is buses that are taken out of service because of a local policy, like the fare box isn't working, not like a mechanical issue per se, but something like a fare box. TransAid had a total of 5 mechanical failures, 4 of them being major and 1 of them being another. Moving over to the phone data, the phone calls coming in has kind of been stabilized the last couple of months. We were at about 13,000 calls last month, nowhere near where we were in January at the beginning of the year. But our percent of calls answered is wonderful. We're at 98% for the last 2 months, which is tremendous. And, our abandoned calls have gone down. We're only doing about a little over 600 a month now, which is great. Any questions?
Can you give a full, complete definition of abandoned calls?
An abandoned call is someone who calls up, maybe is put on hold and doesn't like how long they're waiting, so they hang up. So it's like a call, and they may call and just start going through the announcements, leading into the call, and they may not like that and hang up. It's something that's kind of out of our control.
Fellow board members, any questions of Carol?
This is Lynette. I just have a curiosity question. Of the breakdowns that you were reporting, would any of those be related to the units that were taking out of service?
I do not know. I don't have the specifics on which routes, or not routes, what coaches broke down.
Okay, that's
so
fine.
I'm not sure.
That's fine. I was just curious.
And that's a great question, because you might be right with the fact that we did put a lot of our older buses into the fixed route rotation because we needed them. Might have been, and John might be the one to be able to answer that. think John was with us.
Yes, John is with us.
Put you on the spot, John.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute. Yeah, but not necessarily. Some of the hybrid buses now is getting a lot of miles on them, and the battery packs and stuff is giving us issues. So we've seen an increase on calls for the hybrid system. But we're in the process now of upgrading those and getting that back up to standard. So we should see that kind of start tapering back off in a little bit.
Very good. All right. Well, Carol, as always, thank you so very much for your very, very thorough report.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Woodson?
So I'm trying to get to where we need to be. So those are just the actual reports for each department that you all have already gotten a copy of. Then we have the financial reports, and I will make sure that I reiterate, I don't know if Dr. Fleer was on the call, on the meeting, when we had our budget, city budget, the budget office here. And in our October meeting, we were going to have a full presentation from the city's finance department, the budget director. He's going to brief the board on WSTA's budget as it relates to our revenues, breakdowns, our expenses, and a full overview of our budget in our October meeting. So he's preparing a presentation for that. But for the purpose of our meeting this afternoon, you received a copy of our period 1 and period 2 breakdown. And as you can see, this is the beginning of the year. Our operating revenues and expenses, the budget for the month, as well as the actual spent money, revenues collected, and the expenses spent, the expenditures spent with that month, and then the second month, which is August. So we have July and August. We did not have these for you last month, but we do have them prepared for you this evening. And as you can see, our annual budget is here, and we don't have a lot of revenues that have been collected, of course, in the first couple of months of the year. Of course, right now we're not collecting fares. Our system is still fare-free due to COVID, and it will remain so for a while, especially until we get all of the driver barriers in. And then at that time, and when we move into phase 3 of the governor's order, executive order, we may entertain returning to collecting fares. But until that time, we won't receive any revenues as it relates to the actual fare box revenue. Just some minor ticket sales from some agencies that purchase tickets in bulk. And then our actual revenues we collect from Greyhound's rental and those things of that nature. The same with the operating expenses at the bottom. But this is our July, the first period, and the second period of August. As far as our finances is concerned. Does anybody have any questions?
I look forward to the budget report, and you say in October?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. And as far as we usually have a marketing report, as I stated earlier, Tina is on vacation today. So she's having fun while we're having a meeting. So briefly, she just wanted me to remind the board of a couple things this afternoon. One, as Ms. LaTanya Wright alluded to, the website has been updated again, just to reflect the all of our board members on the board now, as well as our monthly meetings. That information was on the City of Winston-Salem's website, but we needed it on our WSTA website as well, and it has been added. So if you have an opportunity to look at the WSTA website, please do so. And if you see anything that you think needs to be changed or anything like that, just make sure you send me an email or Tina an email, and we'll make that happen accordingly. But you want to make sure of that. One thing I wanted to point out on her behalf, as well as staff, as Mr. Garcia spoke on in our last meeting, he took the opportunity, and we are so grateful here at WSTA, as well as DOT, that he shared his knowledge on advanced care planning and he entertained us with some education on 2 days, September the 10th, as well as September the 23rd. He spent all day pretty much at the Transportation Center in our training room, educating on us on advanced care planning. And he did that. It was not a large turnout, but those of us who attended really appreciated it. He really enlightened us on some things that you don't really want to think about, but we need to think about, and put us in the right direction, gave us some tools that were very useful in our advanced care planning. So we wanted to publicly thank you, Mr. Garcia, for taking the time out of your day and providing that education for us. And we had some DOT recipients as well that really appreciated that.
You're very, very welcome, and more than happy to set it up again to maybe the word will get out of just how important that is for them, and be more than happy to do it for the staff.
Thank you. And finally, I wanted to show just a brief, right now, TransDev we're initiating our pedestrian awareness, as well as the city of Winston-Salem. And the city of Winston-Salem and Worcester are collectively working together to do some campaigns centered around pedestrian awareness. So I just wanted to show a couple. We just started this week, and I wanted to make sure that you all saw some of the beginning. Sorry, hold on one second. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Dexter Vines, who is our safety manager, and Tangela Turner, who is our safety supervisor. And they just went down to the Transportation Center and made some signs that basically just say that your family is in the crosswalk, and bringing awareness, because it could be our family members, it could be friends, it could be just anyone that's in that crosswalk. And we want to bring the awareness to them, to people about that, to make sure that drivers, while we're driving company vehicles or our regular vehicles, that we take into consideration that people, pedestrians, bicyclists are and can be and will be in the crosswalk. We know Halloween is coming up, and they're probably not supposed to trick or treat, but people will be trick or treating. So we need to make sure that we're watching out for children, people, and I wanted to make sure that I showed this little initiative that they have started off. And this campaign, TransDev has mandated that each agency, each location have a pedestrian awareness campaign weekly through the end of this year. So each week we have to do something different. So I'm sure that we'll have something else to show you all in the next meeting, but I just threw this together this afternoon, to be quite honest, just to show you what they did this week as it relates to our pedestrian awareness.
This is Jack Clear. I really compliment you on that. I think it's very important. I am a walker, and I regret to say that I think a lot of drivers do not respect walkers.
That's right. They don't.
And we've actually had several serious incidents in Winston-Salem in the last several months involving pedestrians and vehicular traffic.
Yes, it's a very sensitive subject. It's very severe, and we need to bring awareness to this, not just now, but every day, because you can't come up against the vehicle. We just don't. We're not equipped for that, and we need to be aware and conscious, and not be in such a hurry to get nowhere and risk somebody's life, or limb. So this is our campaign moving forward. So we'll be you'll see some advertising. Tina's going to work with the safety department to get some things out there, as well as Matthew Burchett with the DOT. So you'll see a lot in Winston-Salem as it relates to pedestrian awareness forthcoming.
And Ms. Woodson, nowadays, a lot of people have those earbuds in while they're walking or exercising. Mm-hmm. They forget that they're at an intersection.
That's right.
Or they don't hear somebody coming, they don't hear a vehicle coming. So just a reminder that people sometimes they're talking on their Bluetooth phone.
That's true. That's so true.
Oblivious to an oncoming vehicle. Mm-hmm.
That's why one of our key one of the things that we teach in our safety when we have new hires, we have to expect the unexpected and we have to be the eyes of those people because they're out there, but we're the professionals. We're behind that wheel, so we're expected to see what no one else sees and to act accordingly. So that's all I have as far as the presentation for the meeting today. Staff is here. We're available to answer any questions or concerns.
Fellow board members, any final comments, questions?
Ms. Woodson, this is Lynette. I would just compliment you and the staff. You all do a fantastic job of the work that you do. That safety plan was amazing. The artwork that the graphics, you all really do a nice job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to my staff. They do it all. I really am appreciative of the staff that I have here because I can't do it all. I don't have the knowledge, but they do, and we work together, and the teamwork makes the dream work. I know it's redundant, but it's actual. It's
true. That's right.
Very meaningful.
This is Jack Blair. I want to say what a pleasure it is to see the new members of the board. I'm sorry I wasn't at your introduction last month. I was trying very hard to get on, but I didn't succeed. But I think I've got the problem worked out, and I look forward to seeing not only new members, but continuing members in the next meetings.
Thank you, Dr. Flair. Yes, we did miss you. Well, if there's no further comments or questions, I want to thank everybody. Of course, Ms. Woodson and all the WSTA staff that are present, everyone from the city that are present, and of course, our board members. Thank you for attending this meeting. We're almost ending it right on time. Wow, this could be a record here.
It certainly is.
A lot of great information. Ms. Woodson, wonderful job. All the staff, wonderful job. Thank you for conducting this meeting and allowing us to be just a very small part of what you guys do and for the community. So thank you very much. We ask that all of you, again, be safe. We're not out of the woods yet in regards to this COVID by any stretch of the imagination. Please, please, please be safe. Take care of yourself. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, Ms. Woodson's email and phone is always open. You can always, if she doesn't answer right then, she'll get back to you. So you have an open line of communication with Ms. Woodson. Thank you. So with that said, have a great rest of your Friday evening and your weekend, and we'll see you in October. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.